I'm now joined by ESkootr Championship racer, former Irish hockey player and her sport ambassador, Nicci Daly. Hi Nicci, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Neve. How are you?
Good, good. You've been a very busy woman. You hung up the hockey stick and jumped straight into something else. Tell us about ESkootr and what you're doing there.
Yeah, I swapped the lycra for leather. um, it's it's a brand new championship, the ESkootr Championship. It's exactly what it says it is. It's an electric scooter, basically, that I'm racing in a brand new form of motorsport. And yeah, it's something I did not expect after I retired from hockey. But I just kind of got asked, and I said, yeah, of course, I'll try it out. And it's been incredible. It's been such an amazing experience. We've had two races so far. First one in London in the print works there, and then the second one was in Sion in Switzerland 2 weekends ago. And it's just about sort of bringing this sport to the life of the cities, and trying to showcase micromobility and use that sort of sport at the high level as sort of an innovation hub for introducing micromobility scooters, bikes and things like that into our cities in a safe and sustainable way. So it's cool.
How did you end up getting involved? Like, how did it even come about?
Well, I suppose it's not, that mad, considering I do have an interest in motorsport and I have sort of a background in it as well. And as a sport, they were really looking to create a diverse pool of riders. So they wanted people from different sporting backgrounds. They really didn't want to just have, a load of motorbike racers or two-wheel sports people to make up the series. So they really wanted to try and diversify the group of riders. And I just was asked as, one of somebody from maybe a different sporting background that wouldn't necessarily be seen to race or to be on two wheels. And I went to a test day sort of at the beginning of the year. And after that, they offered me a contract to race. And it was kind of totally unexpected, but I was kind of thrilled about it initially, and still am. I'm loving it. It's great.
It's a different kind of rush, I'd say, from being involved in hockey.
Yeah, it's very different. Like, people are often ask, like, is there anything that you transfer from hockey to the e-scooting? And not physically, or the skill sets are totally different. But I suppose being agile, like good sense of balance from playing sport is always helpful. And then obviously, like, you can bring a mindset, you can bring sort of how you approach the racing, how you sort of approach getting on the scooter. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that you can probably bring across, is just everything that you've kind of learned mentally, your experience in general when it comes to competing. But other than that, no, there's not a lot to bring over from hockey.
In terms of the championship, tell us a bit about that. There's an individual and a team element, is that right?
Yeah, so there's 30 riders, and there's 10 different teams. So each team has 3 riders. And I'm lucky enough to be part of Carlin Racing. And Carlin is a legendary British motor racing team. They've been very successful in the junior formula that run, the feeder series into Formula One. And my cousin has actually raced for Carlin since, I think, 2013. He raced for them. That was the first time he raced with them. And then he raced last year in IndyCar with them. So it's sort of like a long-standing relationship between Carlin and the Daly family, which is kind of really cool that I get to continue that tradition, although there is a bit of pressure there. So yeah, there's 3 riders. I'm partnered with 2 riders. Danny is an English rider. He's usually a mechanic by trade, and Anish Shetty, who's from India. He's motorcycle racer. So yeah, it's 3 riders per team. It's each team generally has either 2 girls and 1 boy, or 2 boys and 1 girl on the team. And yeah, you race as a team, but also you're out to kind of race for yourself individually. So
Where can people tune in if they want to watch it and check it out?
it's on BBC, the iPlayer, and I think they have a couple of other platforms. It's all sort of digital platforms. I know DAZN, that DAZN, are now covering it.
I think they say, I think it's actually DAZN, but I think a lot of people don't get that. I only learned it at the press conference for Katie's fight.
Yeah, that's a bit too young and cool for me to know that. Yeah, there's different platforms. I think if you go onto the website, depending on where people are sort of tuning in from, there's definitely many places you can watch. Yeah, if you're looking to see something a little bit different, it's a good one to have a look at.
So in terms of what they're kind of doing with it, what are the plans over the next couple of years with growing the sport?
So they want to introduce a grassroots program, and they've already established it as sort of one of the most diverse sports, especially in motorsport, where it is primarily male dominated. So they want to make it obviously accessible, diverse, and affordable, because motorsport in general is quite expensive. And they have this plan to grow a grassroots program, so young kids can come and start to develop on these scooters, and the scooters are pretty much going to be the same, just a shorter handlebar, or but the making of it, the base of it, and the sort of chassis of it will be mainly the same, so that you don't, as you develop, you don't spend loads of money, you just develop your skills and your time on the scooter and your racecraft and stuff like that. So I think it's that's sort of the plans for the sport. And then the plans outside of that are, like I said, they want to introduce sort of they want to be an innovation hub for sort of safer micromobility options in city centres, and I think that's sort of where they see themselves, as that sort of a little bit like Formula One being innovation hub for technology and day-to-day cars. They kind of see themselves like that in the micromobility sector. So
it's definitely the latest cool, hip and trendy sport on the market anyways.
Yeah, I mean, people kind of are, they think it's kind of funny that we're wearing full motorbike leathers, and it is, like, we do look a bit ridiculous getting onto a scooter with full length leathers and a helmet and gloves and boots, but
someone said it gave a Power Ranger vibe earlier.
Yeah. But they're fast, they go 100 kilometers an hour, and there's no graceful way to fall off a scooter. So you are thankful for, the full set of leathers and the helmet when you do come off it, because yeah, I haven't seen somebody come off it the exact same way yet. There's been many ways to come off it, with limbs and things flying all over the place.
Are there a lot of people falling off? Like you sound like you might have fallen off from the way that you phrased that.
Yeah, I have. I've taken a few spills, a few tumbles. Thankfully, nothing serious for anyone. It's just the scooter. You can only lean it so far, and then if you lean a bit too much,
it's like being on a bike.
Yeah, a little bit. Only you're kind of going a little bit faster maybe than what you're used to. And it's different because you're standing on it, so you don't really have anything. Your body isn't hanging on to anything other than your hands. So it is a bit of a weird sensation when you're trying to go around a corner quickly standing up.
Was it not a scary transition moving from hockey into a sport like that, where obviously something like, people are watching motorsport and obviously you've grown up around that, but where the accident risk is like a good bit higher?
Yeah, like, I suppose it's not totally foreign to me, the concept of racing. Like, I have been in a kart before, and I've driven a car around a track before, so I think I'm okay with the concept of speed and comfortable enough with that. I just don't really have any racing experience, and that's sort of where that's where I'm sort of at a deficit to maybe some of the riders. But I feel like every time I get on it, I'm improving that little bit. And I was delighted to reach the final in Sion, because I didn't think that was realistically going to happen at all this year. But yeah, I think it's nice to be able to start in a new sport as well, where there's sort of no expectation and there's no pressure. And I've just enjoyed that challenge of just seeing, okay, well, what does the next day bring, and how much can I improve today when I get on it again? And yeah, it's good.
An adrenaline rush, I'd say. Anyways, in terms of the team, how are you getting on, and how's the team getting on at the moment?
Great. Yeah, we're P1 in the team standings, and my teammate is top of the individual standings. And then myself and Danny, I think, are both 8th and 9th. So we're inside the top 10. But yeah, main thing is the teams at the top of the team standings, which is great. So
That's it's some place to start off with, anyways, with a good result. So, how have you found kind of the competition? Like, is everything very tight, or are people still kind of getting their head around it? And are there some people learning faster than others?
yeah, it's definitely interesting when you bring a group of people together that, some have racing experience, whether it's on a bike or, motorbike or motocross bike or BMX bike or something, that they're used to understanding the rules and how to pass. And then you've got people who don't have any of that experience, and it's kind of just like a little bit of carnage. Like everyone's, trying to get into the corner ahead of everyone else, and there's a bit of elbow bashing, and there's a few dodgy overtakes. But I think it's just we're learning all the time, and it is a brand new sport, and it's been amazing to see how much I think everyone has probably developed over the first 2 races. Considering we've had a couple of test days where we've started and where we are now, you can kind of see the trajectory is, people are improving pretty quickly, and even across the teams that initially maybe wouldn't have been quick in a test are now sort of like, oh wow, they've kind of progressed really quickly. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it goes on from here. It's definitely not down to 1 or 2 teams. I think all the teams are in it. Yeah, it's quite close.
A really cool thing to be involved in, like obviously at the start of its journey, and obviously the be this year, but the kind of evolution and development of the sport over the next couple of years, and to see where it goes. In terms of hockey, we'll rewind a couple of months and bring you back to the pitch. There's a couple of games coming up for the Irish hockey team. The next international match against Japan from June 15th to 23rd. So can you talk to us a little bit about this series?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think they're getting. I know they just came back from Japan as well. They got a couple of games out there, and it's all it's good to have so much game time before you go to a major tournament. So I think that's what you always want to have. Like training's good and all that, and you get to practice different things. But there's nothing like matches to really put into practice what how you're trying to play the game. So I think it's great that it's in Dublin. It's great to bring sort of the team back to Ireland again. It's been a while since they played in front of a home crowd. So I think it'll be nice to see how they get on and see what the prep will be like, leading into the World Cup. So
yeah, how important will these couple of matches be in preparation for the World Cup, and how do you think the team are kind of after coming down from the Olympics and then gearing back up for another important tournament?
I think they're good. I think it's a real it's a real young, energized group. So I think there's been a bit of change since Tokyo, and obviously that's an ultimate high, and the work and the effort, and even COVID trying to get in the way of it. There was such a massive physical, mental, emotional effort gone into that, and then obviously you come down the other side of it and you don't have long to build back up again. But I think it is a refreshed group. There's new faces there's very young people in the squad, and I think that's just, there's going to be a lot of hunger there and a lot of desire to go to a World Cup and do really well. So yeah, I hope that they can use this prep to really solidify that and be in a good place going into the World Cup. So
in terms of the upcoming matches against Japan, I know there's a couple of U23 matches happening as well. So what is the upcoming talent like? What can we expect from the under-23s? Obviously we've had a nice era of hockey at the moment. Will there be anybody pushing through that we should be watching out for over the next few years?
Yeah, definitely. I think the underage programs have come on so much in the last few years that they're now like, you can by the time they get to the senior team that they're ready. And I think that's sort of testament to all the underage coaching and development that's gone on there. I don't know any players in particular myself, but I am looking forward to watching a few of the games and seeing that young talent, because I know that there is a lot of young talent there, and the success that the Irish hockey team has had is probably only inspired and influenced those players to really kind of push on and want to get to that level themselves. So yeah, and I know that they just came back from the World Cup in South Africa, the Junior World Cup. So, you know, they've gotten a good bit of experience out there. Some of these players will have been at that. And that's the level that you want to play at. And the more you can play at that level, the more you get confident to go up against the bigger teams and to play in the bigger competitions. So yeah, I think they've had a good bit of experience, you know, leading into these games.
What would your advice be for any of the athletes, whether it's on a U23 squad or an under 18s panel, and be if they have aspirations to make it onto that senior team?
I think definitely it's, you know, it takes a lot of, like, it can take time. So don't be deflated if it doesn't happen straight away. You know, progress is not always linear. So it's just about sort of sticking to, you know, the why you're doing it. Like if the hunger is there, the want is there, you'll get there eventually. And it's just about, you know, learning as much about the game as you can, like not just practicing the skills, but understanding, you know, the tactics around it, how to play the game, how to read the game, all those different things. If you can develop all of those things as well, then, you know, you give yourself a better opportunity. But, you know, for a young person, I think it's such a great place to be after everything that's just happened. There's so much opportunity now to keep the team going and get to Paris. I mean, it should be a really attractive sort of carrot there to work towards. And I think, you know, the resources are getting more and more. I see they just announced another sponsorship for Paris for hockey specifically, which is great to see. You know, the funding needs to remain in place in order to keep these athletes there and to allow them to train as much as they can and together as much as they can. So
yeah, I know it's obviously been some journey that the hockey team has been on. Exciting, and you know, we'd be hoping to see continued success. Obviously, you were involved in the silver at the last World Cup. So, what can we be hoping for from this team and this tournament? Who will be the teams that we need to watch out for as well?
Yeah, I think every team's going to look a little bit different, obviously from 2018, because it's 5 years ago now, or 4 years ago, and so, you know, teams will change. Obviously, we know certain teams will still be strong. The Dutch, no doubt, will be as strong as they usually are. Germany, and you know, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of the other teams lately. So, but you know, I think as you always go into a tournament, you focus on what you're going to do, and you focus on yourself and not really pay too much attention to what the other teams are doing or who they have, or, you know, past results or things like that. And I think if they can just remain focused on their own game, their own performance, and what they do really well as a team, then there's no reason why they can't again do the best they can for where they're at going into a World Cup. You know, be hard to beat is always something that we had as a team. We were always a difficult team to beat, and I think that that's something that if they can hold on to that and then work on their strengths in attack, then yeah, who knows, anything's possible, as we've proved before. So
look, it obviously is kind of a difficult time to predict, like, the landscape of sport at the moment and how other teams are doing off the back of, you know, such a long period of time where there wasn't that many matches and that type of thing. So it'll certainly be an interesting tournament to tune into, and everyone will be, you know, tuning in again to see how the team gets on. It's great excitement that yourself and obviously the team built with the last World Cup. So fingers crossed for some exciting matches and good Irish results.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm excited for them, and I think, you know, they're excited going into it. I think they're really looking forward to it, and it's just another great opportunity to perform on the world stage. And yeah, I think we'd never have an Irish team that wouldn't go in there and cause some sort of an upset. So let's hope they can do that again.
Thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us about all things e-scooter and hockey. We'll be certainly keeping an eye and trying to tune into as many of the races and stuff. And yeah, look, we'll be sharing it so that people can tune in and check out what you're doing over there.
Cool. Thanks a million. Thanks for having me. And yeah, best of luck with everything with her sport. You're doing great things. So keep it going.